Okay, so on one of the coldest days so far this year, did you like that? Did you see the Sharpie shake? Uh-huh. You got the Sharpie shake in there. You know it's big time. You know it's coming up, man. Big time. We're going back to the final tour stop of 1994, summer of 1994. Arguably, it's always going to be one of the best tours that they've ever had, summer of 1994. This was the final stop. Read some today, $20 for a ticket. This was a 15,000 seat venue. There were still tickets available day of. I guess that's their way of saying it did not sell out. Trey had an impending wedding, and wow, all kinds of craziness broke out. The catapult there, and I'm starting to talk about the stuff that's probably going to get overlooked too, including the AC/DC bag, the scent of a mule, the hairy hood, with all this craziness with the antelope and the catapult. The comet was the Shoemaker-Levy comet crashing into Jupiter, the 2001, along with all of that. And that, well, of course, in typical nerd fashion, that was some stuff that was really going on. All right, and then you got a sparkle and a horse and Silent in the Morning, Cavern mixed in there in the first set. So let's go all the way back here with the Golgi apparatus, Down with Disease, NO2 opener. It's really just this big opening segment with a vacuum solo, early vacuum solo there from Mr. Fishman after the Golgi opener. And, a breeze, just like a 5 or 6 minute Down with Disease, Hitting it hard, though, and then this stash, man. Woo, while it wasn't necessarily some long, stretched out improvisational stash like occasionally we get now, those are the big stashes we're looking for. This thing, man, all four guys were just on it. Sometimes they're jamming it they just seem like they're building and building and building and headed toward the top. This one, it's like they each started at a corner and we're on just a complete collision course. A stash jam, one of them things that just seems so chaotic, but yet it was still just like the perfect song for stash. And then they follow that up with Lizards, which is, this kind of, chaotic madness. You get this nice, beautiful sounding Lizards after that. Rocking out a little bit with Cavern, cooling it back down, Horse and Silent in the Morning, and then Maze. Page McConnell, just about no matter the year. Sparkle keeping people amped up, and then Sample in a Jar. So, right, a little bit of a down segment here in the first set, but then that was it. Keeping it rocking to end that, and then really, so just a nice first set, really. A really good first set, actually. I was saying just a nice one. So just a really good first set, typical 94 fashion. A lot of smoke and rock and roll. And then this is kind of where the madness all started with the Antelope. If you could just take each Antelope segment, both very good. At one point, Trey just running around, acting crazy, spinning the lab, perhaps his final days as a single man, really enjoying it. Fishman, talking a little shit in there in the catapult about the wedding. Quickly though, just kidding. Of course he wants the wedding, or whatever it is. You guys know, the quote. You know the quote there. So we get through that Antelope madness, and most of the time that'd have been it. But no, we're not quite done with the Harpua 2001 Harpua. The narration, he's slowly building to a story where a comet's going to crash into Jupiter, and right about that time they go into a 2001, just a nice funky jammed out 2001. Back in, finishing Harpua, and then the AC/DC bag and mule getting some extra attention. Harry Hood, of course, one of the solid highlights there, and then, not just that. Contact, Chalk Dust Torture, Susie Greenberg. Yeah, the problem with the whiteboard, it's a lot of songs here on the whiteboard. Barely made it in down there at the end. You got to watch it with the amount of songs if you're going to request a whiteboard. You got to be careful, but that's all right. Susie rocking us out. Of course, Chalk Dust Torture. And in typical, like I said, over here, 94 fashion. A lot of just smoke and rock and roll. Not the very first live Phish CD I bought and owned. And still to this day, one of my favorite shows. If only it didn't have that horse Silent in the Morning. All right, so, well, as you can see, you got the Browns gear on, but go Patriots. Lots of red. Lots of red. All right, well, there you go, my man. Boom. That was requested. We got 12/11/99 on deck. So if you want to play along, check that show out, and we will see that here in the next few days or something.